So here we do measurement of the entire land. Okay, then after that it is not necessary that the owner should construct the entire building in the entire plot area. Okay, it depends on the owner's or client's frequency, or it's they may construct a building in this fashion, or else they may construct a building on half portion of the building, isn't it? They may construct the building in this area by leaving the surrounding spaces. Okay, this will be, they may construct the building like this. Okay, then after planning, we go for the estimates. As I told you before, we go for analysis. In case of analysis, we put on the columns, how many number of columns to be provided, how many number of beams to be provided, all these things will place in this one. Okay, then after that we go for designing, then after that finally we'll go for that estimate. So we were talking about this approximate and detailed estimate. So in case of approximate estimate, we simply calculate what are the things, what is the approximate amount for the construction of this project. Okay, approximate name itself will say that this is the approximate amount of money to be invested in this particular project. Okay, once the project gets finalized, once the project is finalized, finally we have to do the construction, we have to execute the project, we have to finally work on this project, then we will go for the detailed estimate. So detailed estimate is nothing but each and everything will be accounted, that is what is the duration of the project, how long the project will get executed, and again how many salaries we have to give to execute this project. For example, we'll be hiring an engineer, we'll be hiring a supervisor, we'll be hiring a foreman, then again we'll be hiring watchman, isn't it? So many people will be hiring. So depending upon that, we calculate the estimate of the building. Okay, what are the things we not only include the material quantity, that is steel, concrete, aggregates or cement bags, or what do you say, the sand, and even your sanitation and all those things. We also include these things, as I told you just now, that is what are the salaries to be given to the workmen. Okay, and what are the money to be expended. We have to pay for electricity, isn't it? Electricity, and along with that we have to go for sanitation also, right? Temporary sanitations, right? Temporary electricity is to be needed, isn't it? To execute, we will be running machines, we will be running so many different lights and fans for the execution of the project. So for that also we need some electricity, isn't it? So that thing also is considered in this estimates. So let us I'll give you some brief things, what are the things we go for, and before that we'll try to learn few terms. What are the terms we'll be using for calculation of these estimates? Okay, it's very, very important and very simple. It's not that much of difficult, it's very simple. So we'll take this example only. So see here, this is your land, isn't it? So what happens here is, this is your complete plot area. Few terms are there, we'll discuss about those terms one by one. Okay, what are the terms we actually consider and what are the terms we actually do not consider in all these areas and all. Okay, so the very first thing is, we do plot area. So what do you mean? What is the term? These are all terms. We have plot area, plinth area, carpet area, floor area. So many areas we'll be studying now. So what are those areas and what are the areas which we consider, which we include or exclude? We'll see there. See, for example, we have a land here. Okay, so this land, if you do measurements of the entire land, that land is set, that area of that particular land is said to be your plot area. Okay, area of entire land including boundaries is said to be your plot area. Okay, next we have plinth area. What do you mean by plinth area? Suppose, for example, I am constructing a building in this fashion, I'm constructing building internally. I'm not constructing throughout the land or throughout the plot area. I'll be constructing some at particular plinth area. So this area at which I will be constructing a building is said to be your plinth area. Now what do you mean by plinth area? What are the things to be included and what are the things which will not be included is nothing but your plinth area. So plinth area, what it includes is nothing but, what is included in plinth area is, the first one is outer walls. What do you mean by outer walls? These walls, not outer walls. These are boundary walls. Okay, this is your outer walls. Outer walls are included. Then after that we use veranda, that is we project some part of the building on, isn't it? So that is also included in this one. Then after that we'll be having internal shaft. Internal shaft. What do you mean by internal shaft? Internal shaft is something, see actually in this one, veranda or porch, or we can say porch or portico, wherein we try to project the building away from the pillar, isn't it? We give some balcony or we put on some cantilever. So that at that time, suppose for example this is my parking area, okay, parking area, and at this particular point if I provide columns like this, these are columns and these are beams, if I provide this, then this area is included in veranda. This area is included in veranda. If suppose these columns are not available, if these columns are not there, then this portion we do not consider in plinth area. Very carefully you listen to my words. That is, veranda is considered in plinth area when we provide outer columns of portico. Like suppose for example we provide outer columns also. So then that area is considered as plinth area. If these columns are not provided, then it is not considered as plinth area. Okay. Then next we have internal shaft. Now what do you mean by internal shaft? Internal shaft is something wherein you provide ducts. Okay. Ducts for pipelining, ducts for ventilation. Okay, we provide ducts, isn't it? If you have a house wherein you do not have any setback on this particular side, so to get some air or to get some ventilation from that particular area, or else to provide some sanitation lines or drainage lines, we provide some ducting, isn't it? So that is nothing but your internal shaft. We consider that also in our plinth area, provided it should be less than 2 meters square. Less than 2 meters square. If the area of this internal shaft or duct is less than 2 meters square, then it is considered as plinth area. If the internal shaft is more than 2 square meters, then it is not considered. That means it should be less than, internal shaft area should be less than 2 meters square, then it is considered as plinth area. Whereas if the internal shaft area is more than 2 meters square, then it is not considered as plinth area. Clear? Right. Next is lift shaft. Lift shaft. So again, in every building, every structure, we provide lift, isn't it? Without lift, it is not possible to access 6th floor or 7th floor, isn't it? So to provide that, we need lift shaft also. So lift shaft is also included in plinth area. Okay. Apart from that, we also have toilets, isn't it? We have toilets in the building, so that also is included in plinth area. Then again, few AC ducting is also there. In every building we provide some AC ducting, isn't it? So we provide some AC vacuums to be executed or to be projected away from the building. So that AC ducts is also included in the plinth area. And what are the things which are not included in the plinth area? That is excluded. Excluded. Excluded, again I will write here veranda. Veranda, but the veranda is nothing but the projection. Okay, so that projection is actually not included in the plinth area when we do not provide at the extreme corner of that particular cantilever. Okay, if there is no pillar, then we consider that as we will not include that veranda in plinth area. Clear? Then the same thing, that is internal shaft. Internal shaft is, for example, it is greater than 2 meters square, then it is not included in the plinth area. Okay, so this is what we include and we exclude in our plinth area. We have to be very clear in your plinth area. Plinth area is very important actually. Okay, next is we have carpet area. So this one is clear. So I'll move to the next step, that is plinth area. So plinth area is over. So I will write here carpet area. So what do you mean by carpet area? Carpet area is something wherein we use that particular area. That is nothing but usable area. What is that? Usable area. So suppose, for example, I have a building like this. This is my land, okay, and this is my building, wherein I have few rooms here. This is one room, this is another room, this is kitchen, and this is bathroom, and this is living room, drawing room or living room. So what we consider here is the carpet area. We consider these rooms and these drawing rooms as my usable area, isn't it? I will be using these areas. So these areas are said to be your carpet area. Okay, and along with that, this area, whatever the area which we are lefting over, is said to be your setback area. What is this? Setback area. So every time whenever you come across any building, it is good to provide setbacks in a building. Suppose, for example, this is my land boundary wall. So if you construct your building away from this boundary wall, you will be having certain space in between, isn't it? So that particular space we can use it for vehicle movement, isn't it? Vehicle can be moved easily. Along with that, we can have proper ventilation to the building. We will be having proper ventilation throughout the circular of our building. Suppose, for example, you have a setback here, you have a setback at this particular face and even on this face. So what will happen? You will get a proper ventilation to the building. Okay, you will have proper ventilation to the kitchen as well as your bathrooms and toilets. So this area is said to be your setback area. After that, we will be having circulation area. So this is third one and this might be fourth one. So this is circulation area. Now what is circulation area? So in every building you will be having staircases, you will be having lift, you will be having parking areas, you will be having driveways, and even this area, even you will be having in your building, you have verandas and you will be having balconies, and those areas are said to be your circulation areas. What do you mean by circulation areas? You cannot stay there, but you can move at that particular space. Staircase, you can move at that place, but you cannot stay there. You cannot put on your bed, isn't it, over there? So all those things, the movable areas or accessible areas or the places or common area, in general terms we say that area is common area. Okay, staircase is a common area for entire building. Parking lobby or parking driveway is said to be your common area. Along with that, the lift part, the internal lift shaft is also comes under the category of parking, circulation area or common area. Along with that, when you construct a building, very big building, when you open a lift, you will be having some corridor in front of lift. Okay, that particular area is also said to be your circulation area. All right. Then we have, after these areas, these are the technical terms which we use in every part of our building, that is carpet area and circulation area, plinth area, plot area. Okay, and along with that we have floor area. We have one more thing, that is floor area. What do you mean by floor area? Floor area is nothing but plinth area minus number of factors. Now what are those factors? Those factors are said to be your veranda, which is very, very important. Veranda is not considered as your floor area. Okay. Then again you will be having your walls, boundary walls. Boundary walls are something wherein which are outer part of the building, isn't it? It is not inside the building. So that boundary walls are said to be your, these are not considered in your floor area. Along with that, we have few things, that is corridor, and even in every building we will be having, suppose for example if the building is commercial building, so that commercial building also has some canteen, isn't it? It will have canteens, it will have pantries, right? So those things are also not included in floor area, that is canteen, even kitchen are not considered as the floor area. Okay. Then these are all about your areas. After that we have some types of estimates. Okay, these are all areas. So areas and all we have cleared. Then we'll go for some new thing, that is the next topic, that is estimates, types of estimates. Types of estimates. In this one, as I told you just now, that is we have approximate estimate, then along with that we have one more estimate, that is detailed estimate. So approximate estimate is something wherein we go for the approximations. We do not calculate the entire amount to be complete calculation is not calculated. Complete amount of the entire structure, estimate is not calculated. Approximations is calculated. After that, if the project is sanctioned, if the project is finally, okay fine, we have to do this project, we have to execute this project, then for that particular project we need to, after finalization, sanction of the project. So that is nothing but once you plan a building, then that particular project or that particular estimate, you first prepare for the approximate estimate, that is the first one, approximate estimate. So after preparing this approximate estimate, we go for administration. This is about your government projects. Okay, so when you go for approximate estimate, when the approximate estimate is prepared, then that estimate is taken to the administration department. This is taken to administration department. So administration department, what they will do, they will look out the entire approximate estimate. They look for the workable conditions, whether this project is useful, whether this project is not useful, whether we have that particular budget with us, do we have that particular resources with us. Okay, all those things they will consider first. Once they say that okay, we can execute this project, we are in need of this project. For example, we have a Kaleshwaram project, okay, running in our state. So the very first thing what they will do is they will take the approximate estimate first. They will send it to the government office. In those government offices, they have administration departments. So administration department will look over that project, whether it is feasible, whether we can afford this one, whether we have available resources with us. Do this project help us in future? Okay, do this project help in our economy? Do this project help to the farmers? Do this project help us in generation of electricity? All these things they will consider first. they will look after this project, they will look after the entire front and back of this project. Okay, then they will finalize it. Okay, this is needed, we need to go for this project, this is required for the growth of our economy of this particular state, even it will help to the government, even it will help to the people, even it will help to the entire farmers, villagers, so many people will get benefited for this from this particular project. So after finalization of that step, that is administration department, once they finalize it, once they say okay we can go for that, then after this one they will go for detailed estimate. Now in case of detailed estimate, what they will do, they will try to calculate so many different things. One is, the very first thing is, they will go for the project cost. So in this project cost itself, there will be so many things, like for example, we'll be having the very first and basic thing, that is steel. Then we'll be having cement, then we'll be having sand, then we'll be having aggregate. These are the project costs. What will be the cost of steel? What will be the cost of cement? What will be the cost of sand? What will be the cost of aggregates? So okay, what will be the cost of labor? Okay, what is the cost of machinery? Okay, this is nothing but it will have a detailed estimate. Each and everything they will segregate, each and everything, right from day one to the end of the project. What are the things to be provided? What are the things which should not be provided? Okay, what is the duration of the project? At what time we should start the project? Because in rainy season we cannot start construction, isn't it? We have to start the construction in such a way that there should not be any rain, and it should be accessible area. So many things. These are just small gist. So many things they will consider. Project cost is nothing but they will add steel, cement, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate and machinery, and along with that they will add labors, and after that they will go for some contingencies. What do you mean by contingencies? Contingencies is something wherein few things are there which will happen accidentally, isn't it? Suppose for example we are executing a project, so what happens? Few accidents may occur, isn't it? It is not necessary that without accidents a project can be executed. It may happen. So they consider that also, that percentage is somewhere between 3 to 5%. They will consider 3 to 5% of contingencies, accidental or unforeseen things which will happen. Okay. Along with that, they will add, after this estimate, after calculation of these materials, they will go for, as I told you just now, that is electricity. For electricity, they will add 8% of the cost of the cost of the project. They will take down the electricity, whatever the light or whatever the electrical facility they will be using, they will add it at 8%. Then along with that, water is also needed, isn't it? When you are constructing a building or any project or dam, it is not necessary that you will be having 24/7 water over there. Okay, you have to take water from different resources. So that is nothing but your sanitation and water. I will write here sanitation. So for that sanitation also they will add 8% of cost project estimate, because drinking and water is a very basic need, isn't it? Even light, fan is also very important thing, electricity. So whatever the laborers which will be staying over there, they need electricity, they need water, they need proper sanitation. Okay, so all those things have to be considered, because see, if the laborers are staying over there for 1 year or 2 years, they need proper water. Okay, they need proper electricity, and if they do not get proper water and proper electricity, they cannot work properly, isn't it? So laborers and workers should get proper facility of water and light so that they can work on the next day, isn't it? If they do not have proper facilities in their houses or in their small sheds or whatever it may be, so if they do not have proper facilities of these things, then they could not able to work on the site properly. So one has to look for the laborers and workers accordingly so that they can work on the next day very effectively and efficiently. Okay. So these are the things they will consider as 8%, and after that they will take for around work charge establishments, as I told you just now, that is, this is electricity work charge establishments as 1.5 to 3%. Now what is this 1.5 to 3% work charge establishments? That is nothing but you will have to provide security. You have to provide watchmen, isn't it? And watchmen again is important part of any construction. Okay, once you finish your graduation, or once you go on sites, once you go on the industry, on fields, you will be seeing that the importance of watchmen, because whatever the materials we have on site is actually very costly. So if things are getting stolen away, or things are getting shifted from one side, from the owner's side, then it will be a big loss to the project, isn't it? So that is why security is very important. Watchmen and security and proper protection of the site is also very important. So depending upon that particular case, they provide 1.5 to 3% of that entire cost of the project to the security. And along with that, this workman establishment, along with that, they will be providing some supervisors also. Okay, supervisors for one particular area, supervisor for one particular area. Okay, different supervisors will be provided to different what we say blocks. Okay, so for that also, to preserve that, see, it is not necessary that I will put on the steel on one particular area. I will be dumping steel on one side, I will be dumping steel on another side also. Okay, so that it will be easy for the people to use it. So I will be providing different supervisor over there and different supervisor on this particular area. So supervisors are also needed to protect the material of any. It is not necessary that only steel. We will be having so many things in our construction industry that has to be safeguarded from stolen away. Okay, so along with that, so this detailed estimate, as we were discussing, so this detailed estimate will be actually prepared by technical department. This is prepared by whom? Technical department. This is prepared by technical department. This is administration department. Administration department, they will look for the general terms. Administration department, once they pass it, they will send it to the technical department. Technical department will prepare this detailed estimate. In case of detailed estimate, they will look after these all entities. Okay, so after that, they will go for the after calculation of detailed estimate, they will go for the execution. Alright, so how the project is executed, how the projects, what are the types of contracts we have. And again, in this one, I forgot to tell you, that is, they will be, suppose for example, once the project is finalized, they will be given, the entire project will be given to one contractor. Okay, one contractor will be there who will be taking up the project. Okay, so contractors' profit will also be accounted. Contractors' profit, they will take it as 10%. 10% of the entire profit will be taken by the contractor. Okay, who is contractor? The one who will take down the work. Okay, who will take down the work, and he will be responsible for the entire execution, entire labor, entire material, entire machinery to be provided by the contractor. So the contractor's profit will be 10%. This technical department will finalize the profit of this contractor. Along with that, suppose for example, if the project is very big, then the contractor's profit will be 8%. If the project is very big, they will consider it as 8%. If the project is small, then it is 10 to 15%. Okay, this is a nominal range, 10%. If the project is big, then it will be 8%, and if it is very small, then it will be 10 to 15% of contractor's profit will be accounted by the technical committee or technical department. Okay, so this is for now. This will end up this class here. So we have seen what is plot area, what is plinth area, and what is floor area. So many things we have taken, and along with that, in case of your carpet area, walls are not included. Okay, I have not mentioned that one. So walls are not included in this one. Okay. So next, how many types of contracts are there? How many types of again detailed estimates are there? So many things we'll see in the next class. All right. Thank you.